Dude, Luke, the printer's still busted, man. What the fuck?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 84 of the Topless Robot Podcast. My name is Ryan.
I'm back, and Tyler.
Occasionally, I am Brooks.
Dan, as usual.
And just before we started the show, we were just talking about God and Fortnite, which made me think about...
This is proof that Fortnite is a holy property.
It made me think about the fact that, like the recent thing that happened in Fortnite, the concert. Travis something or other, some rapper
Travis
who I'm
Barker.
completely unfamiliar with. No, Travis Barker did something else that was awesome. But this guy, like, there was, I hesitate to call it a concert because he wasn't performing anything live. It was a bunch of it was his music being performed, and then an avatar, like a giant avatar in Fortnite, and a bunch of scripted events and things like that. But the idea was very, very cool, and it looked really, really neat. And I'd love to see that done in kind of like a live sort of setting. Did any of you guys see this?
I didn't see it.
I heard about it.
Aware of it, yeah.
But they've done stuff like this before with other musicians.
Really?
Yeah.
Fortnite. Yeah, it was like the DJ who wears a marshmallow for a hat.
Oh, Marshmallow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his name's Marshmallow.
Yeah, I know.
Don't know what I expected.
Hey, did you know that his name is Marshmallow?
Yeah. No, I just have to be an old man about it because I don't enjoy his work.
Great if his name was like Steve.
Yeah.
I actually watched the pilot to Duncanville, that animated show on Fox right now. That's in its first season. On the first episode, they had a not Marshmallow DJ. It was the same head, but with 2 graham crackers. I was like, I think I get it.
You want some more?
It feels like we're finally actually starting to see some of the things that Second Life was promising us all those years ago.
Ugh. Just the mention, the cold utterance of Second Life sends chills down my spine.
But like,
and through my soul.
Do you guys remember businesses buying land in Second Life?
Mm-hmm.
I do. That was embarrassing.
I remember there being like an economy in Second Life. People actually kind of made money off that for a little bit.
Yep.
Like it was kind of like similar kind of thing.
One of my classmates dropped out of animation college, like, because they got a job selling models to Second Life, and it was like $120,000 a year.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
Yes, it is.
So, is he working at Jack in the Box or McDonald's?
As far as I know, she still does it, but I haven't talked to her for a while. So,
I mean, Second Life does still exist. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
But it's cool to see stuff like I saw some of the footage of the performance in Fortnite, and it really looked very, very cool. Really, really neat.
Was it like them actually playing live?
No,
or
from what I could tell, it was pre-recorded.
Okay.
And then there were scripted in-game events that were synced to the music that would, fuck with the players and everything. Like, he was brought in as this giant towering, thing, and just all kinds of really cool effects going on. And I like the idea, and I'd love to see it executed with live music where there's more interaction, or like you could set up these in-world things with triggers or something like that, as opposed to it having to be so fully scripted.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be cool.
It's definitely a cool idea, but
it's just
I'm not gonna play Fortnite.
This just reminds me of, like, beyond the actual people being able to play and things being scripted to the game. I just reminds me of when Blind Guardian 2 had, like, an in-game concert in Sacred Worlds too. And it was like how they released one of their singles, like from that album. I don't remember which album it was off of, but they like released their single at this like in-game concert, and like they had all of the members of the band were like fully rendered in the game, and like Hansi had like a staff, and like
That's really
he was like
cool.
a wizard. It was ridiculous. That was, like, fucking 2011.
The exact type of thing I would expect from that band for
Yeah,
sure.
Then there was I think it got delayed or postponed, but there was supposed to be a music festival held in Minecraft. And what's cool is the way that it was set up. There were actually going to be merch stands where you can go to the merch stands and they've got their shirts up on display, and you click on one of the shirts and it opens up your web browser to buy it from their web store. So like all kinds of like real custom things put in place to, be able to support the artists and still kind of give you that kind of congregating in a space with other people and enjoying a thing, kind of feeling that we're all missing out on nowadays.
Now you too can take party drugs from the comfort of your home.
Now, what would really impress me is if instead of opening up the web browser, it opened up like a Minecraft rendered version of the web browser,
right.
like all big blocks.
Yeah.
And when you purchase the shirt, it comes in and it's actually all like cubed.
Can you imagine you take your drugs before going to this virtual concert, and you turn to the dude next to you, dude, is my head a square? Fuck, man, where are my fingers?
Oh, that could have some great shitpost opportunities right there. Especially if you could talk to people through the game,
Right.
in-game voice chat.
So
Ever feel like this world's just been built for our own entertainment?
That's a thing though, and it cracks me up because they have distance-based voice chat, which makes me laugh in every single game it's in. So you can actually hear how far away someone is from you in game.
That sounds like a cool concept that is just a little silly. Oh yeah, well, we're trying to make this more realistic. In
Hey, so you want to buy some potions?
So what would the ideal situation like that be to hook you in, Dan? Like, so a band you like was going to do some crazy interactive thing like that. What would be the thing that would make you break and do it?
I don't know. I mean,
Does it depend on the game?
No, so pick any.
like in Minecraft or Fortnite.
Oh,
Black Dahlia Murder has a Fortnite event coming up.
Oh. Ow. Okay.
We've broken
Dan's like,
him.
oh man.
We've broken him.
I don't know. The Black Dahlia murder would have to be allowed to violate the Geneva Convention inside of Fortnite for me to be able to do it. Like, they would have to be given permission to commit some sort of atrocity on that game. That scars 1,000 children as they watch the Black Dahlia murder concert.
Yeah.
Like a 3D rendering of Christ that they dab on in the middle of Fortnite.
No, it's Christ. He's on the cross and he's doing the Fortnite dance.
Now, if it were in VR chat, if it were in VR chat, on the other hand,
if it were in VR chat, I would just do it anyway because VR chat's fucking hilarious. There's not as much like cringe humor that can happen on Fortnite as there is on VR chat. I can go watch weebs like humiliate themselves on VR chat 24 hours a day, and it will make me laugh every single time.
But what about our savior, Vito Pepitone?
Vito Pepitone. Though he is the Christ of Fortnite, he is not my Christ.
You're false god. So in other news, the final large update for Super Mario Maker 2 came out. And it's fucking rad. They added the Super Mario Brothers 2 mushroom. So in SMB1 levels, you can get an SMB2 mushroom and it turns you into SMB2 Mario. And you can ride on enemies, pick them up and throw them, which includes bullet bills and bonsai bills, which people have been using for Kaizo level construction. So you basically have to juggle a bullet bill and ride it throughout an entire level, which is fucking rad. There have been some incredible ideas that are coming out of this. They have also added Mecha Koopas, 3 different types of Mecha Koopas. One shoots lasers, one shoots homing missiles, and the other one's just a plain one. And then they added the boomerang suit from Super Mario 3D World, and added 4 different little boxes that you wear on your heads. One of them is a POW brick, which you can use 3 times. So you wear this POW brick and then you jump into things and it does a POW, 3 times.
Oh, right.
One is a propeller head, which you can spin up 3 times.
Like from that game.
One is a cannon head, which allows you to shoot cannonballs. And probably my favorite that I've seen is one is a bullet bill head. So you fly like you jump and then hold down and you fly across as a bullet bill in order to, you can use it to navigate things and stuff. Like, it's really, really cool. But probably the biggest thing that they added was worlds. So people can now create their own worlds.
Like a series of levels?
Yeah, out of their levels. So they can build, the tiles and like change the way it's kind of like the Super Mario World overworld look. And so you can design the way that it looks and choose the order in which your levels are played, and change the icon of those levels. Bonus stages, so like the match, the star kind of stuff, as well as there are 8 different worlds, similar to any Super Mario world game. So you can have 8 worlds, total of 40 levels. And the theme changes of the overworld every time. Like, you can basically make your own fucking Mario game now out of your levels.
That is legit.
That's sick. I like that.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the coolest ones. I think that, and then the Zelda editions.
Yeah, the Zelda update was super fucking rad. A lot of people were kind of holding out for, hoping for a Samus update or something like that. So, you could change the functionality. Like, with what they added with Link in the SMB1 theme, like, fundamentally changing the playstyle. It would be cool to see, how Samus would fundamentally change that playstyle as well.
They won't even make a new Metroid game. Like, they're
working on it. They're working on it.
They're making 4. It's coming out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, remember they had to scrap it entirely and start all over because they were unhappy with what was being made.
I know.
Metroid Nukem Forever.
Look, we're not even close to that. And if anything, now Half-Life 3 has beaten out Duke Nukem Forever at this point.
Yeah, and it won't be good. I mean, it could be a fine game, but...
No, it's not going to be made. They're flat out not going to make it. It's never going to be made.
We got Half-Life Alexa.
Which...
Half-Life Alexa.
Hold on, what?
What? You know what I meant. Shut up.
Alexa, boot up Half-Life Alexa.
Which I've heard is actually like the best VR game you can play.
It looks cool. Like the stuff that you can do, like drawing on walls and shit. Like
I've heard great things about it.
I would very much like to play it for sure. It sounds like it's awesome.
Yeah. At some point, eventually I want to upgrade to a Valve Index so I can get the little non-hold controller, the thing that actually grips onto your fingers, so you don't actually have to hold it.
That'd be cool.
Well, that's wild.
Yeah, and so eventually I want to upgrade to the Valve Index, and then I will play it. But
I've decided that Half-Life Alexa has to be like when just a Half-Life game, but played all through voice chat. And that's
you mean like they did Skyrim that one time?
Yeah. They got to do that.
No, but it doesn't even have a visual, right? So it's just played through your Alexa. It's like a MUD, but instead it comes through on a speaker instead of through text.
Oh, that sounds so exceptionally cursed. I love it.
Head crabs to the north, south, east, and west.
Put head crab in bag.
I pick up the nasty knife.
And then aside from that, there was another gaming related thing that happened this week. Oh yeah, the new update for Animal Crossing also went live this week.
With more Easter eggs.
Oh God. But the like Earth Day celebration, they've added paintings, so you can buy paintings, and there's a new wing of the museum for hanging these paintings that you buy. But the paintings might not necessarily be genuine, so Blathers will not take a painting that is a forgery, and you can only determine if it's a forgery if you look at the original piece and the piece in game side by side. There will be one glaring difference. If you're familiar with the original, you might be able to just eyeball it without looking up the original. But if you're not familiar with artwork, you're not going to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, it's forced.
Finally, a use for all of those wasted art history degrees across the world.
I'm just saying that seems like it's opening up the opportunity for there to be like an art heist mode in Animal Crossing.
That would be pretty rad.
If they make that happen, I'm playing Animal Crossing. I will be an art thief.
At least they're not letting you make your own paintings, because that would be cursed.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of already can in that game, sort of, right?
Oh,
you can make your own shirts and you can draw on the ground.
Yeah, when
you can share them as QR codes, right?
Yes. When Devin came onto my island a few weeks ago, he just popped up with this hat that said shit across the top of it and then piss across the brim.
A man of culture and taste.
Yes.
Very highbrow.
Quite.
When will video game designers realize that that's exactly what's going to happen every time?
Oh, yeah.
They knew.
But people are also doing very interesting things.
Like Elijah Wood.
Really cool stuff. Yeah. Elijah. Oh, yeah. So, of course, you guys all heard that Elijah Wood is playing Animal Crossing, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's being so nice.
Yes. That was my favorite news from the week, was Elijah Wood DMing someone on Twitter to fucking, so you posted about your turnip prices. Can I come sell mine? Like, that's the sweetest. Never mind that, like, that's the nicest way for a celebrity to ask. Like, that person was like, hold on, there's a check mark next to your name and it says Elijah Wood. Yeah, of course.
Clearly it's Daniel Radcliffe.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing! It's like both have their different.
Off of his latest alcoholic binge, she's hijacked Elijah Wood's account.
Man, I have the Switch Joy-Cons bolted to my hand.
Speaking of that, I did finally actually watch that movie.
How was it?
Was it Kimbo?
Yeah,
okay.
It kind of looked all hype from the trailer, where it's like all these shots in the trailer have probably made the best parts of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still gonna watch it because, duh.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun.
Oh, let me tell you about this weird ass movie that I saw this week, because we found an interesting Norwegian or Swedish film. I cannot remember which one. That it's called The Border.
Okay.
And It was, the trailer made it seem like it was going to be like this kind of mild thriller with like this lady that works at like a ferry checkpoint as a cop, just kind of scans people for suspicious looking people, right?
Yeah, I think I know what movie you're talking about.
She looks like the Geico caveman.
Yes.
Yes. That got fucking wild, let me tell you.
Really?
I was not expecting any of that. Super sweaty. Super sweaty film. It was watch it.
When you lean in with your glasses, I can see myself.
Tyler, like the narcissist that he is, only concerned about seeing himself.
Well, let's focus it on Dan now.
Now I can't remember.
Guns Akimbo, Elijah Wood.
I started watching Cursed Films on Shudder. And
I've
it's
heard about that.
A limited documentary series where each episode talks about a film, a horror film that is notoriously cursed. And
like
so
the Twilight Zone?
Well, so the Twilight Zone isn't really cursed. Like it had one horrific thing, but Twilight Zone
you mean
is,
like haunted movies?
Sorry, Twilight Zone is the last episode, and they go into great detail on all of the things that went wrong in order to cause the death of those three people.
Okay, so you mean this isn't the colloquial cursed movies, as in how Brooks uses it? Like it's a cursed movie, like it's horrible.
Like
actual.
So many bad things happened during production that it became labeled as a cursed production. So the first episode was The Exorcist. The number of deaths that occurred, and then there is an actual factual murderer in The Exorcist. In the hospital scene, who was not an actor because they worked with actual radiology folk, and were like, hey, we need to shoot these scenes here. Do you want to be in the movie? And they said, yeah. And one of them went on to kill a Variety reporter. Who apparently
you're going to say a variety of reporters?
No. Yes, he killed one from every paper in town.
Apparently, he was in a sexual relationship with this Variety reporter, and he killed him. And so, but that guy is there on the screen. Poltergeist is one of them, because there was one. The older daughter was killed by her boyfriend. And the younger daughter, and the focus point of all three films, died of a congenital defect that was misdiagnosed as Crohn's during the production of the third film, to the point where the director did not want to continue making the movie, but the studio forced him to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that she died of some like congenital thing, but I didn't know to that extent. I am definitely going to be watching this.
Yes, that's cool.
Probably the craziest one. Most of it, obviously, you can excuse all of this shit with coincidence or poor planning or poor behavior on the someone's part. But in the case of the Omen, there were two actors, separate planes flying out to film because they filmed in London. Got struck by lightning on the way there. Then Gregory Peck had a scheduled flight that he canceled. That flight that he would have been on crashed shortly after takeoff after running into some birds. But that's not enough. It crashed,
Tyler?
No,
it crashed into the pilot's family. So the pilot of the plane, it's taking off, hits a bunch of birds, crashes into his wife and child driving away from having dropped him off at the airport.
How many ones do you think were rolled there?
Right?
Like there had to have been like a great many exceptional failures. It's just
Then
terrible.
Are we not sure? Are we sure that this wasn't like a really convoluted suicide murder plot?
Yeah.
He's just like, I can't deal with this anymore. Goodbye.
We need answers.
He's at home just like calculating, like, if I release the birds 2 hours before my flight, their flight vector should run directly into the engine. I'll run into the cockpit, punch the pilot, and then ram the plane down into my family's car as they're leaving the airport.
Then there was a one of the crew members' wives, if I remember correctly, was killed in an identical way to the decapitation scene from the Omen. And furthermore,
brutal.
It occurred next to a near a town marker, like one of those, like, this town is so many miles away, for the town Omen, Ommen, and it was 66.6 kilometers away.
Oh man.
So of all of them, the Omen has some of the, like, you know, obviously it's all still incredible stochasticity, but holy shit, man. Like,
wasn't there something that happened with, because there were more than one Omen movie. Wasn't like there's something crazy that happened with like all of the originals, like 1, 2, and 3?
Oh, I'm not sure. They only covered the first one.
Okay, because I thought I remember that being a thing. Why? Like, because I remember when they did the remake, whatever, the one that was in 2011. Everyone's like, "Oh, we shouldn't remake this movie because all of the Omen movies have been cursed."
Which is exactly what would make Blumhouse want to remake those movies.
Yeah, right.
Let's replicate this.
One of the episodes was The Crow. And
yes!
So I had always heard about. I always thought it was the scene where all of the bad guys are like aiming guns at him and everyone shoots, and one of those had a piece of shrapnel in it or something like that. That's what I had heard.
It was
What actually happened was originally he was going to get stabbed. And this was when he walks in on his girlfriend being abused by by not Sick Boy. What the fuck is his name? Because Sick Boy is Train Spotting, but similar name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Sad Boy.
He was supposed to get stabbed, and last minute they changed that. So they have to like change the camera angles and all this because things weren't looking realistic when he aims the gun at him and all this kind of shit. So he apparently what happened is there are two different types of bullets that are used on film sets. One of them is a normal slug with none of the gunpowder in it, but it still has the slug on it. And it still has the priming cap. So they use that to show loading on the gun because it looks real, because for all intents and purposes, it's a real bullet, just doesn't have the gunpowder in it. If you fire that, the blasting cap has enough power, not a lot, but enough power to push the slug into the
chamber.
Well, into the nozzle, the fucking point, whatever, the barrel. Thank you. So once that then gets loaded with a blank, the blank is the gunpowder less the slug with no slug. So it has the report of a gunshot with nothing shooting out. But when no one checked the barrel, and so the slug from this empty, bullet was wedged in the barrel. When that blank went off, it shot the slug out of the barrel.
Could you imagine being the one who shot? Like, how sucky would that be?
He was very fucked up from it. Like, extremely fucked up from it. And unfortunately, he is remembered for that.
It's not his fault.
I always thought that he did it. I think I heard like a version of that story that is definitely not true. Well, a version where he was like goofing around with it and then just like did that. But I'm definitely gonna have to watch this.
That happened in Tiger King.
Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. How long are the episodes?
I think half an hour to an hour, something like that.
Okay.
Probably an hour. It felt like they were longer. Unfortunately, they also kind of lend a little bit too much screen time to the crazy people, in my opinion.
Well, it is Shudder.
For some ungodly fucking reason, during the episode on the Omen, they spend time talking to ritualistic Satanists who take it way too seriously.
Yeah, but of course, that's how you sensationalize it and make it like that's the interesting part that everyone's going to talk about. It's why those History Channel batshit crazy documentaries are the ones everyone's talking about too. It's
Aliens.
Like, yeah,
I like how we all did that. That was great.
That shit is by design.
Fortunately, they don't linger enough on them, and they usually end the episode with a counterbalance of like rational thought. As opposed to just leaning so hard into that. They give them some screen time, but then they're like, yeah, no.
That's good, because I've watched, you almost had me not wanting to watch that for a second.
Yeah.
There's been a few documentaries that I tried to watch recently where they're just like for instance, the sleep paralysis one that's on Netflix, and it's all like, they talk way too much about how like, oh, it might actually be real paranormal things, not just a psychological thing.
I think I saw that one.
It's like, okay, no, it's a psychological thing. Like, come on, don't fucking deal with it. And then there was another one that I watched a while back, and it was like, it sounded interesting. It was Killer Children.
I saw one of those.
That, I think.
I saw one of those and it wasn't as exciting as I was. I don't know. To be honest, though, I don't actually know what I was expecting. Maybe just like dramatic reenactments with bad child actors.
If it was that, I would watch. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, like a couple of years ago, like I got into the old episodes of Unsolved Mysteries. And
yes.
Part of that show is still cool because it's like, oh shit, this actually happened. In some of those cases, they actually still update the old ones. Yeah. Because there's a couple that I watched that was like, update in blank, they found so-and-so, or in blank, they caught so-and-so, whatever. But to me, the best part is the really bad, like 1989 dramatic reenactments of these people.
They're so bad.
Yeah, it's like sometimes they don't even look like the person they're supposed to be, you know?
Still, when I was a little kid, the theme song to Unsolved Mysteries scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
and
unnerving.
It's
that and the sound for A Current Affair. Do you remember A Current Affair at all? That it was like boom, and it's just like they're about to talk about some sensational thing or whatever. But it just that noise was up there with like the tornado siren noise from the local news station when that shit would happen, where it would like cause me anxiety as a 5-year-old.
You know what caused me anxiety as a young kid? Like this stuff from America's Most Wanted. Like all my grandparents watched that show all the time. Just the sound of the announcer's voice on America's Most Wanted gave me just the worst nightmares, because my grandparents watched it like every fucking night when I was over at their house, and it was always about like America's Most Wanted, so murderers most of the time, and it was and like there's a lot of them that were about like serial killers, and as a kid I'm just like, these serial killers are gonna come into my house and murder me. So they'd always watch it. It's always like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm supposed to go to bed at like 10 because I'm a child. So like at the end of every episode, it's like, if you or a loved one has seen blah 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 blah, this is the description of them. They could be near you, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, like you have no concept of the fact that that's a national broadcast when you're a child.
And also, Tyler, I think the bigger question these days is what doesn't give you nightmares?
Truth.
Not much.
Truth.
You know what's wild about Unsolved Mysteries and America's Most Wanted is that it actually worked.
Yeah, right.
It actually worked. There's like so many like on the updates, on the they'd always be like, so and so saw the episode of Unsolved Mysteries and turned themselves in, or like, yeah, it was some
shit. They know me.
And that was like before the internet, and that's crazy that it actually worked.
Yeah,
a lot of people were caught through America's Most Wanted. There was like a ton of criminals that were turned in and tips that saved people. Like every other episode was always like an update thing, like thanks to your tips.
If you think about it, like not only was that before the internet, that was before cell phones, like widely available. So nowadays, we get an Amber Alert or whatever, and it's your phone goes off, right? So now we actually have the infrastructure to like alert people of danger around them. Like you guys remember a few months ago when there were those escaped convicts who they were tracking on their way down to the border. And so
on Halloween of all nights.
No,
No, it wasn't Halloween.
I couldn't remember when it was, but I remember it was like, holy shit, we're getting like regular updates just through our phone service about these, escaped convicts.
Mike Myers.
Elwood Blues.
Escaped convicts in Arizona. I watched Raising Arizona for the first time last night.
What'd you think, man?
It was a trip. I was not expecting how fucking weird that movie was going to be. And it was weird.
Yeah, I love that bounty hunter dude.
Yep.
He's like he's the guy that belongs the least in that film.
Yeah.
And yet I've seen guys like that, like slightly north of here.
Just coated in dust.
Yeah, gross looking guys with guns and bad attitudes.
Yeah.
It was so ridiculous.
The Coen brothers.
John Goodman, little young John Goodman. It was so weird.
Yeah, right. God, John Goodman. Oh my God. It was so good.
I had no idea he was in that. Like all of a sudden he pops up. I'm like, is that no way it was?
Yes.
That movie was one that really cemented the Coen brothers as just really, really great filmmakers.
They made Nick Cage look the least crazy person on screen in that somehow.
Well, at the time, you have to remember, at the time, Nick Cage did not have a history of being crazy. Like
that is true.
This is at an early part of his career.
Before the dinosaur bones.
I don't think he was credited as Nick Coppola, but he may have been credited as Nick Coppola in it.
I watched an old interview of him, I think in the 90s, talking about that. And I don't know, he looked kind of crazy then too.
So it was 1987. And no, he is credited as Nicolas Cage. But this couldn't have been, because when did Fast Times at Ridgemont High come out? Because that was
87?
his first movie.
I want to say 87 maybe?
Nope, 82 apparently.
Oh.
So he had been in a few. Oh wow, okay. So he had even already done Peggy Sue Got Married, and Rumblefish and Valley Girl by this point.
I always forget about Valley Girl.
Yeah. So his first movie was in 1982, and it was Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And he's credited as Nicolas Coppola because he's Francis Ford Coppola's nephew. But he didn't want to ride his uncle's name, and apparently by his next film, Valley Girl, in 1983, he was being credited as Nicolas Cage.
Did you know this week they announced that Valley Girl is getting remade into a musical?
I saw that.
I did hear that, yes.
I'm about it.
Of course you are. You're about musicals.
There's some good musicals of remade. Like they fucking did Legally Blonde. They did Beetlejuice, which is actually really fucking good.
And let us not forget Spider-Man: Turn Off the Dark.
Turn Off the Dark by The Edge.
Turn off the dark.
And Bono.
You want to talk about cursed productions?
Yeah, I watched like an hour-long video on YouTube talking about that.
Yeah.
It was. I didn't know there was a Spider-Man musical, and then when I was done watching it, I decided that I did not need to know that there was a Spider-Man musical.
I remember following along with that because I listened to I used to listen a lot more, but I listened to Hollywood Babylon, Kevin Smith and Ralph Garman. And they were following the news from that as it was happening in like 2012 intently. And it was fucking hilarious. Such a nightmare. I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
Why were we talking about Nicolas Cage again?
Because of Raising Arizona.
Raising Arizona.
Oh, right.
You remembered.
Let's go down this little rabbit trail.
So what prompted you to watch Raising Arizona?
I've just been watching a lot of classic movies that I haven't seen. So I watched Goodfellas the other night as well.
Oh, you hadn't seen Goodfellas?
I hadn't seen Goodfellas.
Interesting.
I watched Road to Perdition a little while ago as well.
Oh, damn. That was depressing.
Yeah, I was a little rough.
I have not seen Road to Perdition. Jasmine and I were going to watch it a couple of weeks ago, but
it's very good, but it is heavy.
So, fun fact that I learned like yesterday. Weird that you bring up Goodfellas. Henry Hill, the guy who what's his goddamn name? The main character, basically, in Goodfellas.
Yeah,
Ray Liotta, the guy that Ray Liotta plays. He is also represented in My Blue Heaven by Steve Martin.
Oh, I love that movie.
It is the same character because it's based on a real guy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Henry Hill, both,
I didn't think about
both
that.
Steve Martin in My Blue Heaven and Ray Liotta in Goodfellas are playing Henry Hill.
What? Oh, that's
okay.
So weird. I've never seen this.
Isn't that crazy?
Tyler.
Is that a comedy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Very funny. It's Steve Martin and Rick Moranis.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick Moranis.
Two
okay.
very different takes on an ex-gangster's life.
Oh, is it when is it him during witness protection?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I need to see this.
Yeah, it's great. Have you seen My Cousin Vinny, Tyler?
I haven't.
God. Really?
That's another one that I need. There's a lot of movies I'm catching up.
Add My Cousin Vinny to the list as well. That is an outstanding film.
And it is often touted by lawyers as one of the most legally correct films.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's a great YouTube channel called Legal Eagle. I don't know if you've heard of him or not.
Yes, I am familiar with Legal Eagle.
He actually does an episode on that, and I've heard that. I've been around law students and stuff like that, and talk about My Cousin Vinny. My dad loved that movie when I was a kid, so it would occasionally be on, and so I didn't think anything of it. And then Legal Eagle has an episode pointing out all of the stuff where he's like, "Yes, this is exactly how this works," or "This is a very clever way to demonstrate X, Y, or Z in a courtroom proceeding." It's
interesting.
and it's
Ralph
funny.
Macchio and Joe Pesci and Marissa Tomei.
Yeah,
and Herman Munster.
Mm-hmm.
I love Joe Pesci.
Oh yeah, that's right. I always forget that the judge is Herman Munster.
To what? To youths.
To what?
To what?
Youths.
No, it is an absolute classic. I love
Okay,
that.
I'm adding that to my list.
You should, yeah.
I'm
pretty good.
Well, I kind of started going on a little bit of a gangster movie kick, apparently.
Yeah, right. I mean, and this
It's
is
not really gangster, but Joe Pesci's in it.
right,
So
and he may as well be a gangster. But
Yeah. There's a lot of snake skin and leather in that movie.
Joe Pesci's got one mode, but he does it well. But one mode.
One mode.
Yeah.
Hey, he's not the only actor that's gotten fame off of just one character.
Singular modality.
Yeah. So aside from, I mean, I probably already know the answer to this. Dan, have you been watching anything?
No, of course not, you fool.
I'm gonna break into your house and strap a bunch of shit into your Blu-ray player, and you're gonna wake up just chained to a chair.
You're gonna strap a bunch of shit into his Blu-ray player? I'm so confused by what's happening here.
Right. Well, you see, what I did was I've jerry-rigged one of those old CD changer devices from back in the day.
So it's like a top-loading paintball, this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then when it's done,
I've loaded
with
the hopper with Blu-rays.
when it's done with the current movie, it will shoot the disc directly at Dan's face. You'll be strapped into a chair. So you remember the name of the film.
You will also have to bring your own TV and your own Blu-ray player to make any of that possible.
He already said that he made the Blu-ray player, so I don't know.
Something that I won't.
Don't underestimate Brooks' commitment to the bit, Dan.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's coming for you.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of you, Brooks.
Before we move away from movies and TV and stuff, I want to once again sing the praises of the Lil Dicky TV show Dave. It is really good, like way better than it has any right to be. Incredibly well written, and it's not like a one-trick dick joke pony. It is
one-trick dick.
It's
really 2 tricks.
Like there are some extremely heartfelt moments. I mentioned a few weeks ago they had that episode that was tackling mental illness, and now they're like really getting into kind of introspection and ambition and how to, I don't know, just like relationship troubles and stuff like that, where sure, there are laughs to be had there, but the execution of the more serious side of the story is poetic even. So I highly, highly recommend it.
One Trick Dick sounds like the lesser famous nickname of Richard Nixon.
No,
Tricky Dick and One Trick Dick.
One Trick Dick is like the name of a shitty cover band that only plays Little Richard songs.
There we go. I can see you searching for it. You were looking for it. It was out there. You grabbed it.
Yeah.
Was it worth it, Brooks? Was it worth it? Okay.
Yes, it was.
I have to do one plug as well. As you can see, I'm wearing my Mandalorian shirt because, oh my god.
Did that documentary come out? Never mind. Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to cut that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. The last 2 episodes of Clone Wars on Disney Plus have been... specifically this last one, season 7, episode 10, has been... I'm not over exaggerating here. Probably the best Star Wars media I've ever watched, played, or seen.
Bold statement coming from you, sir.
That is bold. Coming from a world where Mandalorian exists.
Yeah,
holy spotting words.
Shit. This last episode with they're kind of getting to the point where it's going parallel with Revenge of the Sith right now. But they're showing stuff that's happening outside of Revenge of the Sith. So you have this like dramatic irony knowing what's about to happen. Right now they're in the middle of the Siege of Mandalore, and actually that arc's kind of just getting wrapped up. So like what I'm assuming is the next few episodes are going to be about Order 66. But it's just the cinematography, the animation, the writing, and the voice acting was just absolutely incredible. From an artwork standpoint, it's so good. And this last episode it kind of has really elevated Darth Maul to being probably the best Star Wars villain that there has been. And it's insane.
Considering how poorly he was done. How he was done so wrong in the prequels. They needed to compensate.
They took him to another level, and it's really cool because they have a fight scene in the most recent episode where it's all motion cap fight, like a motion capped animation fight with the actor who played the body of Darth Maul in episode 1.
Oh, the same dude who played Toad in X-Men.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally blanking on his name right now.
Yeah, I can't remember his
voice
name.
Actor Sam Witwer, who's fucking incredible and brought life to this character like no one ever has. But it's so damn good, and I'm just so excited for these last 2 episodes, and I'm gonna be so sad because they've really just made you care about all of these characters better than the prequel trilogy ever did.
Sure.
And you know where it's going. it's about to get really sad here soon. But this last episode. Was
do you think there's going to be? Do you think there's going to be an episode where like Padme is like going out to like Bye Bye Baby and like trying to get the nursery all set up, and buying baby furniture and shit like that? Because I'd watch that.
Anakin's like force pushing, like
he's just like, God, this is why we have a registry.
He's like hanging like a toy mobile above the crib and like creating IKEA furniture.
It's ObiWan from the news.
I'm gonna say probably not. Yeah,
it's a deleted episode, the lost episode.
Hang Obi-Wan from a noose? Is that what you said? A little Obi-Wan hanging from a noose?
Yeah.
Now who has the high ground?
Exactly.
Will be the forbidden episode, and the final 10 seconds of the footage is the animation team hanging themselves.
There's they do a House Hunters episode, but with Anakin and Padme.
Oh my god! Just all of a sudden,
I'm a Jedi.
It'll be like that famous fucking old TV series where it ends and it turns out that it was the entire thing took place in a snow globe in a mentally ill child's mind or something. That hospital.
Oh yeah.
Thing.
It'll
be like that where it'll just like completely last episode everything flips and it becomes a sitcom of like. Padme and Anakin are looking for a home.
Oh man!
By the way,
I'm a Jedi Knight, and I work in the Senate. Our budget is 9 million Republic credits.
Ooh, see, I like this.
I wouldn't even be mad if they did something like that, because anything that continues to piss off the Star Wars community brings me joy.
Listen, we're trying to find a place with a good school for the younglings.
I really like this one, but it's lava planets. They're just a little too hot for me.
and my commute to work must have far. Sorry, I just gonna fell out there.
That was bad.
Yes, it was.
Ray Park is the actor that I was.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
It's fucking pissing me off.
Because Ray Parker is the guy that wrote the Ghostbusters theme.
Yes.
Ray Parker Jr.
Anyway, yep, that's my rant. It's amazing. Watch this last season if you haven't.
It's something that's been on my list for a long time. I have yet to. I've caught an episode here or there when it was originally airing, and I watched the original Genndy Tartakovsky animated.
Oh yeah,
not 3D animated one, but the animated one when that came out, because it came out when I was working at CompUSA like ages ago, and that was fucking rad. But yeah, it has totally lapsed for me. I need to dive into that.
To make you want to watch it more, Dave Filoni is also the executive producer and writer for the Clone Wars and Rebels, but he's also the one who's been behind like the best episodes for Mandalorian, and he's one of the main showrunners for Mandalorian as well.
But every episode is the best episode.
Pretty much everything that Dave Filoni touches is absolute gold in the Star Wars universe. He's the only reason that Star Wars has good things right now. And then also
Jon Favreau.
But I mean, them working together, like fucking, you can't go wrong.
So what games has everyone been playing?
Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
But quarantine life isn't that interesting, okay? It's gonna be all the exact same things that I've been seeing every week.
Monster Hunter, Space Station 13.
Yeah, Monster Hunter, Space Station 13, Civ 5.
That dwarf game.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Deep Rock Galactic, but nobody will play with me because I've actually been spending most of my time away from the computer whenever I can. All of my friends are playing that fucking Final Fantasy 14 MMO, which I'm not particularly interested in anime World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
I thought that would be right up your alley.
No, not really.
You don't want to
like,
fuck rabbit people?
I really don't. I really
You must be a sexual deviant.
They even roped my buddy Ian into it because they paid for his game and subscription just to get another person to play. So
has he learned he is weak? You never played Anthem.
I will also. I literally couldn't play Anthem, which is the best part of that because I told my friend, "Don't buy it for me." He did, and then I didn't have enough RAM to even run the game. So he just wasted $60. I mean, it was a waste no matter what because it was Anthem, but it was even bigger of a waste because I couldn't even run the game.
Wasted
so that's
$60 on a game that was marked 5 a month later.
Yeah, for sure. Oops. Yeah, so it's been a lot of madness for me at home. It's if I get on Discord, there's 4 or 5 people in a channel playing Final Fantasy, so that bores the shit out of me, and I just kind of leave and work on tabletop campaigns.
Yes.
Very excited for Tuesday, by the way.
Last week, Dan and I watched through a bunch of the entries for Sarah Longfield's shred contest. She's giving away one of her signature guitars. And so we just clicked through, like, serious. I looked at that call length. I got very drunk, so I didn't remember how long we were talking. That was a 7-hour long call after the podcast.
Yeah. And that watching those videos was a wild ride.
Oh, yeah. There were some that were definitely outstanding, and there were some that were definitely not.
Yes.
As one might expect from a contest.
Yes. My end-all be-all statement is, oh my God, if you are recording a guitar solo or any guitar-related thing whatsoever, and you are using a video camera just to provide footage of what it looks like when you play it, turn your camera microphone off.
Yep.
Because you are running your guitar recording through your recording software. The only audio that matters is that. No one wants to hear the sound of you striking your strings in your camera microphone. Holy shit! So I haven't had a rant on the podcast for a while.
Oh, this is my guitar solo. It always looks like this too.
Yes.
It's like, or like some guy on this bed, like. So, anyways, here's my cool guitar solo.
I understand recording limitations. Like, you might not have everything that you need, and money is a huge block to that, and it fucking sucks. But nobody wants to hear the strings of your electric guitar being plucked.
Yeah.
Oh,
while
my
your guitar
God.
softly weeps.
Yes. Brooks is making it even worse because he left his pick wedged between the strings and then struck the strings.
Yeah, 2 inches away from his microphone. That is not of recording quality.
What are you talking about?
That was really cool. Yeah, Sarah asked me to be one of the judges for that, and I definitely found myself.
And you found no one worthy.
Well, I found myself deviating a lot from the consensus of the other people who she asked to judge, because most of them were seasoned shredders. Like, one of them was from the band Power Glove, and my buddy Ty and his guitarists from Lords of the Trident, and so they're coming at it from more of a power metal perspective and this kind of shit.
Were you the token bass player?
Yes, apparently.
Yes.
We need diversity on our judges. So we couldn't find a merch guy, so I guess this bass player has to do.
Our roadie was busy at the time.
There were definitely some seriously cool entries, though.
Yeah,
whenever Ryan starts speaking up, they're just like, "Shut up, mute, pan away,
come back."
We shared the same favorite too. There was one clearly classically trained jazz guitar.
Yeah,
and his version was 4 layers of him, and it had this nice, like clean jazz tone to it. And he put some dissonance in there for some of the parts. Like, oh, it was so good.
It was
didn't make the
really
top 10,
nice.
Unfortunately, but that was my favorite, like far and away.
If you guys can find that again,
I remember his name was Jeremy Popart.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm saying his last name correctly, but
Actually, Popart.
After the podcast, I'll drop the link in the
yeah,
Discord
hell yeah,
chat.
because that sounds cool.
But it was fucking rad.
He,
It was super rad.
I reached out to him just to let him know, like, hey, I thought this was incredible because I was just browsing through the entries. Even after you were done, I just kept watching some of the other ones just to see. And he reached out to me and he let me know that he is in a band, actually, and he recommended that I check it out.
Oh, cool.
If I can recall the name, I will bring it up.
Okay.
But yeah, I couldn't remember. It's pretty fucking good though. It's about as weird as you would expect from someone who is like clearly a trained jazz guitarist.
Sure.
Everyone in that band is definitely a fucking nerd, and I love it. Like,
I don't like strange music.
yeah, I do. I'm not particularly a fan.
People that have their guitars tuned in DADGAD, you know, just
Go segue.
What have you been playing, Ryan?
I have been playing mostly Animal Crossing, but also Resident Evil 3. Played a bit of that. I have been thoroughly enjoying the remake on Resident Evil 3. They are, I mean, RE Engine is the best thing that Capcom has done in a long time.
Yep, that was what Devil May Cry 5 was in too.
Yep, and that's what Resident Evil 4 remake is going to be in as well.
So it should be good. And like, I mean, if they're going to remake 2 and 3, we all know they're going to remake 4. But I really hope that we hear some news on the development of 8 sometime soon.
There has been development on 8. It's called Village.
Nani?
Yeah.
What is
It's
it?
called Village.
Oh, that's 8.
Yeah, that's 8 because the 8 is in the letters of Village.
Oh, okay.
VILL, but killing the bottom of the L, they have the bar colored, so it's VI. Yeah.
Oh, well.
VILLI.
Then I am a fool. To look into
5,
Oh.
6, 7, 8.
I'm like counting the letters out. I'm like, there's 7 in Village.
No, yeah.
What
No,
are
it's a
you
Roman
talking
numeral.
about?
The Roman numeral for 8 is hidden in Village. So Village is Resident Evil 8.
You said number of letters. I'm like, just
No.
like,
The number is in the letters.
And I was gonna make a stupid joke, like, what if they miscounted the number of letters? Wait, hold on a second. They did.
Can you imagine like trying to figure out? Okay, so like in the last game, we managed to include, you know, like the number 7 in the title. What words can we work with? You know,
Yeah.
and then we'll base the entire game around that.
Apparently, if I recall correctly, I can't remember the chick's name, but the female protagonist, or the girlfriend from the first one, is going to be in this one as well. But I think you're also going to be. I think you're supposed to play a beefy fucking Chris Redfield who showed up at the end of 7. So
Biff Redfield.
Biff Redfield.
Chris Redbeef.
Chris Boulder punching Redfield.
Yeah, but one and the same.
That is his crowning moment when he literally punches a boulder into a flowing volcano. A boulder that is like 5 times his size.
Well,
how about you, Tyler? What have you been playing?
Actually, still Final Fantasy VII. Been kind of going back and forth between playing a little bit of Final Fantasy VII, playing some Smite. Most of my and then I actually picked up Mario Party 10 again, which I actually had never
pick
beaten
up
it.
Mario Party 10.
I hadn't beaten it. I don't have all the characters yet.
Are you forcing your roommates to play with you?
Yes.
You just bang on their doors like, it's Mario Party time!
It's just Tyler and Kayla sitting there. Kayla's crying. Yes.
I don't want to play Mario Party anymore. You don't get a choice.
what are you all partied out?
Who Whose house is it? That's right. Look again.
You party with me or you party with the Rona?
I actually included like an addendum to their rent agreement. Must play Mario Party whenever homeowner decides is appropriate. Will be thrown out into Corona-riddled wasteland if they disagree.
So help me God, Kalis, if I catch you throwing this game, I'm tossing you on the street.
Make it into a Hunger Games. I actually have a stash pile of toilet paper in my closet. A winner gets to keep it.
You would like to wipe? Maybe
First
another
you must
50-round game.
You need 3 stars to wipe.
Only people with 3 stars get to wipe their buttocks.
And there's just a wooden dowel with like a nail sticking out of it. It's like, here's all for the people that haven't met that criteria yet. Well, on that note, I've picked up the Friday the 13th game for $5.
Yeah, I have seen some gameplay of it. I know a lot of people who backed it on Kickstarter are like super disappointed with it. Like it was kind of a big. There was a lot of controversy around it that I can't remember off the top of my head what it was really. But
yeah, I don't remember, or I don't know if I actually ever heard any of that stuff. I just saw footage of the game and I was like, oh, cool, whatever. Sure. And then circling back to it, I haven't played that much. I'm trying to learn how to play the game effectively, and it's really interesting. I've only played as Jason, and at first I wasn't crazy about just the way everything was set up, but I'm getting used to it. And for $5, my expectations are very low, so I'm gonna try to have fun with it. I don't dare take it online yet until I can at least win a match against CPUs.
I did not know that you could do that.
Yeah, I'm just doing bots.
Daylight, but with Jason.
Right, but Dead by Daylight it has way more balance in place.
Yeah,
like they've done.
Yeah, it's a better game.
They've put a lot of like they're that's why they have Freddy, they have Jigsaw, they have okay, Jason gets this game, but all of the other movie monsters are just going to be over here. Michael Myers is in Dead by Daylight, like everything.
Yeah. No,
I think Sam from Trick or Treats is in there too, right?
I don't know. If he is, that would be fucking rad.
That would be dope. Well, I mean, apart from playing Friday the 13th super late at night,
Trials
on Monday.
of Mana?
Not yet. I'm waiting on Trials of Mana because I am picking up Streets of Rage 4.
Oh, that's right.
In a couple of days. And I'm clearing my docket for me to beat that in probably a day. So it's a beat 'em up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it won't even take a whole day.
No, it'll take me like 2 hours probably. If it's like the old ones, because those ones were never really that long. It's just like it's always like the 5th level is when they just like crank the difficulty up way high with like really cheap enemies like those kickboxer dudes.
Always and forever.
Yep.
Yep. So, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that Jeremy's band is Axon Neuron.
Okay. I will have to check them out.
Check them out on Spotify and YouTube. They're cool.
So we have come to the end of the podcast.
What?
Which means it is time for an Ask Reddit question. And this one is risky. Welcome to your TED Talk. You are now the leading expert in the last thing you Googled.
Oh.
What will your talk be?
I don't really Google stuff very often.
Pedal boards.
Or what did I Google most?
Trump sanitizers.
Did you?
I'm going to say Axon Neuron because I was looking them up just now.
Do you think the question is really like when you looked up something that you didn't know? Because like I feel like my answer is very boring, and I'm not a boring person.
Yeah, I mean, mine would be Trump sanitizers. How to sanitize your Trump.
Repainting a bicycle. I'm cool.
You're so. And I mean, like, I Googled a few things on this podcast. So should it be before the podcast? Because it's probably like Nick Cage.
Tyler Fleck, leading expert on Nick Cage here for his 3-hour-long TED Talk.
Technically, it could have been Nick Cage, but I did not Google search that. You did the IMDb autocomplete.
I use Bing.
I guess mine would be homemade mayo olive oil. I made some homemade mayo today.
I mean,
gross.
You could pass as a mayonnaise expert. I could see that.
You just walk out onto the stage and chug a whole bottle of it and smash it over your head and go, "Thank you for coming to my TED Talk."
If it ain't best foods, it's not food.
Oh man.
I start
smearing it on my face. Smear all over my body as I'm just walk off stage.
And then 6 months later, we'll find a controversy where you use Miracle Whip instead of actual mayonnaise.
He used the Kewpie mayonnaise, the baby mayonnaise.
The Asians,
the Asian baby mayonnaise.
This big, this bottle has always grossed me out.
I don't like that phrase, baby mayonnaise.
Baby mayonnaise.
I don't like the phrase baby mayonnaise. There's something weird about that phrase.
Really?
So Tyler, would you like if I added the words hot load in front of it?
No.
Hot load of baby mayonnaise?
Hot load of baby mayonnaise. Yeah, that sounds about right.
I don't like it.
All mayonnaise is baby mayonnaise. It's made from the unborn.
That's true.
That's the future that liberals want.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
On that note, thank you everyone for watching. And
I didn't even give my answer, asshole.
Fuck. You
Is
didn't look very interested in giving your answer.
What is your answer? I want to know.
Is the answer, why doesn't the Black Dahlia murder come visit me at my house?
I'm a really cool guy, I swear, but they never come visit.
I have lots of chips and have a cool house. Please come and hang out with me.
Dan.
I'm clean. And
there is no answer. Podcast over.
Dan.
I blame Ryan.
Dan.
Oh, what? He still uses Yahoo search.
No, he uses S Jeeves.
Dan. All right, I guess Dan says the podcast is over. Thank you, everybody, for watching and or listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you liked the video, you should
Subscribe.
subscribe.